This is just going to be a quick video that talks about the thin and the thick options that you have for the Veritas Scraper Plane. I already did a video that compares the Lie-Nielsen to the Veritas to the Stanley. Clearly you can see which one I picked. I'll put a link into the corner if you want to check that video out. I will do a separate video that talks about how to set up, use this plane, put a burr on these, all that kind of stuff. But the biggest question I get is which iron do I need and why? What's the difference here? Well, this video honestly is kind of tough for me because it's one of those buy and try. And I'm trying to come up with answers to give you guys reasons for one over the other. I'm keeping both. Okay, so let me kind of dive into why, and maybe that will give you your answer because it's going to be preference. It's going to be the work you do. I mean, 99% of woodworking is preference, and this right here is falling into the same boat. So here is the thin iron. This is 1/16, and then you have the thick iron that's 1/8, so there's that. They can both do the same thing. They are both going to scrape wood. You do not have to put a bow in this one, but you can. That is the biggest difference, is because this one is narrow, you can put a bow in it. You know, like you do with a card scraper, you push with your thumbs, create that bow, and you can scrape. This one can, this one can't. But you don't have to put a bow in this one. If you don't put a bow in this one, you're going to try to cut with this full width. Just know you're going to get chatter, and that's when I reach for this one. Not having these blades bowed, I know this one can't, this one can. Not having these bowed makes it significantly tougher to push because I know I need to round these corners off. I'm saving that for the next video so I can actually show you guys how to. But if you look in between my fingers, that's how much you're trying to cut with. Okay, if you don't put a bow in this one, in between my fingers, that's how much you're trying to cut with. So that is significantly tougher than putting a bow in here and only cutting with in between my fingers there. So that's a big thing to think about too. I mean, you guys, well, you haven't seen, but I have issues with my wrist. So me having this and trying to cut with that full width hurts because it's really tough to push. So if you guys have arthritis or issues with the hands, issues with your wrist, anything like that, stick with the thin one, put a bow in it. When it comes to adjusting how aggressive the cut is, here's a little bit of a difference too. For the thick iron, you adjust how aggressive it is by changing this angle. Okay? For the narrow one, you adjust how aggressive it is by changing this screw back here, that one, which is the blade bow thumb screw. Sorry, the light's not working out for me. There we go. This one back here, okay? That changes how aggressive the cut is. So maybe that comes into play for some people. If you don't want to move this and you only want to adjust that knob, then fine, but this really isn't tough to do. Again, I'll do a separate video on that. People are going to ask about when you put a bow on this, it creates like a scallop in the wood. I don't see that as much with this as I did with like a card scraper, unless you get really aggressive. I mean, if you put a serious bow on this that you're only cutting with this part, then yeah, you're going to see divots in the surface. But if you go with a slight bow, you don't really see it. Plus, continue on with a slight bow. If you put a little scallop here and a little scallop here, you just go back and put a little scallop there, and then it basically evens itself out. That comes with practice, that comes in time. So I don't want you guys to make this decision and saying, well, I don't want to have any scallops in the wood at all. I mean, if you're OCD, you might see it, but really it's not like you're thinking scallops. It's not that serious. If you guys have a different opinion, again, this is mine. Feel free to let us know down below. Now, I said that I'm keeping both. And the reason I'm keeping both is because if I'm doing very wide surfaces, I'm going to reach for this one and put a bow in it because it's easier to push. If I'm doing thin stock that I'm trying to flatten or even just scrape, I'm going to reach for this one because I'm keeping it flat and I don't want the chatter or the skipping, which this one will have if you're trying to cut with the entire width. So again, I'm sorry. This might be a buy try. Maybe I answered some questions. It was tough. This one was tough because it is 100% coming down to preference and what you like and what you don't like. But bow this one, don't bow that one. That's your answer. I am going to suggest getting both and trying them. This iron is not that expensive, so give them a shot. If you have both of these irons and you've tested them out, let people know down below what you like about them, what you don't like, which one you prefer, which one you reach for more, you know, that kind of stuff. Let people know to help them make a decision because I feel like I didn't give good enough answers. If I did, let me know too. If you said, oh, this was perfect, Awesome. Please let me know down below. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, any comments, anything like that, feel free to let us know. Keep an eye out for that other video. I'm going to be working on it today. All right, adios.